everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MayerMG if you would like, and today I have my review for you of Hell's Paradise. Not the manga. I've already reviewed the manga and I will link that down below for you guys if you want to check it out, which I highly recommend you do if you're going to watch this video, but I'm going to review season 1 of the anime. I just wanted something to hold up, which is why I have this here. But yes, season 1 of the anime has recently finished airing and I watched it because Hell's Paradise is my favorite manga. Obviously, I'm going to watch the anime adaptation, and I'm going to tell you guys what I thought about it. So, just for a quick little introduction, Hell's Paradise follows Gabimaru, a ninja who is on death row, only instead of being killed, he is sent on this kind of Suicide Squad-esque mission to receive the elixir of life. There's a bunch of criminals, and there's also these members of the Yamada Asaiman, who are executioners, going to this fabled land of paradise to retrieve this elixir, and whichever criminal retrieves it gets a pardon. Things happen from there, but that's the basic premise. The first thing that I noticed about the anime is that it's got kind of weird pacing, mostly in the first, I'd say, 5 or 6 episodes. It definitely gets better as it goes on, but those first few episodes, there are some scenes that you feel like would have been quick, but they kind of drag on, and other ones that you thought would have been more substantial go by so fast, and it just felt very strange, kind of gave me whiplash watching it. It was just not what I expected from the first few episodes of this series. Now, I watched this in Japanese. There is an English dub, but I didn't watch it yet. I probably will at some point later on this year, but for this video, I'm only talking about the Japanese version, and I really loved the voice acting in the Japanese version. Kabimaru does feel a little bit old for me because he is only 16 years old, but besides that, I thought the rest of the voice actors were great. It does give me a little bit of ick when the Tenzin are there. The Tenzin are these like supernatural beings. There's 7 of them, and it is said explicitly in the manga and in the anime that they all have the same voice, that they are completely indistinguishable from one another except for like their hair, so they look and sound exactly the same, but that's not the case in the anime. They all have different voice actors, and in fact they all have 2 different voice actors because they have 2 different forms that they can take on, so that was a little bit weird. I don't know why they left in the line about them all sounding the same if they weren't gonna all sound the same. Kind of wish that they had either given them all the same voice actor or just cut that line to make it make sense. Now, the animation, gorgeous. It's so nicely done. I really love this era of animation that we're in. I feel like all of the anime that's been coming out in the past few years has been so beautiful, and for this series specifically, I am absolutely in love with the way they animated the fire of Kabimaru's ascetic blaze. It's one of his ninja powers, and it just looks gorgeous. I am obsessed with it. I love when there's like fire and water in anime because I feel like you can do such amazing things with the animation of it, and this show really did an amazing thing with the way they animated the fire. The soundtrack was also very well done. I love the fight scenes because they have like this shift in the backing track that I thought was so cool and noticeable in a good way. I think that the opening and closing tracks are good. They're not like anything special, like it's not like Chainsaw Man where the opening is an amazing song, but I feel like they're pretty fun and I didn't hate them, so that's good. My biggest complaint about this series is that they added a scene that wasn't canon, it wasn't in the manga, and in order to make it make sense, they had to cut a later scene that is in the manga, so they added this backstory that ties together 2 of the characters a little bit deeper, and they have this part of it where a character cries. I'm trying to be vague while also telling you what is going on so you understand. So they show a character crying in this backstory, but there's a line specifically later on. This character physically cannot cry, like his eyes don't work like that. And they ended up cutting not only that line from the later scene where he says it, but they cut like 2/3 of that whole scene, which really annoyed me because that's one of my favorite scenes in the entire manga, and the fact that they cut it just to make this other non-canon scene make sense really got under my skin, and I don't even think the added scene brings much to the table. Like, the connection was already there between these characters, there's already this emotion there. They didn't need anything added to it in order for it to have that emotional punch, and so it was just a bad move. In my opinion, I would have rather had the scene that was in the manga because I loved it and thought it was emotional enough on its own, and I didn't like the scene that they added. So, yeah, it definitely brought the series down a little bit for me. Overall, I would give this first season an 8 out of 10 because I still really enjoyed it. I still love the story, obviously. It is a little bit painful to only give it an 8 because the manga is a 10 out of 10 for me. It's my favorite manga of all time, but there were a couple of instances where the show just fell a little flat. And whenever you're adapting things from one media to another, whether you're making a book into a TV show or a movie or a stage play or anything like that, taking a movie and making it into a book, like, you're gonna have to make changes. That's how you adapt things. And some things work very well when you change them, and some things don't. And this case, a lot of the changes that they made, like the big ones, weren't for me. Some other people might disagree and say that they like the changes that they made, but that's my thoughts. I give it an 8 out of 10. My final note is that I really think this should have only been one season. So there were 13 episodes, and it covered half of the story, and I'm assuming that season 2 is also going to be about 13 episodes and cover the second half of the story. That would make sense, but I don't see why they couldn't just make one 26 episode season. I said before that I really like this era of animation that we're in. I don't like the era that has been happening where seasons get shorter and shorter. I remember watching anime like 10 years ago, and seasons would be 30 to 40 episodes long, and nowadays you're lucky if you get more than 10. I really just don't like how the seasons keep getting shorter and shorter, and the time between seasons kind of feels like it's getting longer, which I understand. It takes a lot of time and money and skill and effort and energy to put together a show like this, but I would rather wait longer for the initial release of the show if it means I get more of it. Like, this 13 episode season could have just been the first half of the season, and they could have just been one whole 26 episode season, and I would have liked that a lot more. But I'm not like super mad about the fact that they split it. I understand that that happens often and the seasons are getting shorter, but that's just my thoughts on it. So that is all for me today. Let me know if you watched the Hell's Paradise anime or if you read the manga and what you thought of it. I really would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.